I'm going to call the meeting to order. The time is 7 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Please be mindful that this meeting will be streamed on the village website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. I would also like to welcome back our Boy Scouts who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please come and post the colors and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, and everybody stand. Please stand. You can just post the colors in place. Who's going to lead us in the pledge?
I will.
Go right ahead, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want all of the Boy Scouts to come to the front, and I'm going to talk to each one of you separately to give us like a 30-second snapshot of what's going on. So let's start with you. Tell us your name and where you live and how things are going with the Boy Scouts.
Hello, I'm Luke Buell.
Look, face the crowd.
Hello, I'm Luke Buell.
Are you in Troop 9?
I'm in Troop 9.
What school do you go to?
I go to Jefferson Middle School. And right now I'm trying to get to second class because I need to get there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good for you. Okay, this young man right here. Go ahead, sir.
My name is William. I go to Connections Academy, and I'm 13, and I'm currently at first class.
Great. You, sir.
My name is Luke Carbonell. I'm a senior at West Bay School, and I'm Eagle Scout for Troop 9.
Wonderful.
Right.
And you, sir. Thank you very much, all of you. Go ahead. I really appreciate the Boy Scouts coming and posting the colors and leading us in the pledge. At this time, I'm going to call the roll. Trustee Rael is excused for tonight. Trustee Lewis.
Present.
Trustee Pacheco.
Present.
Trustee Riccabini.
Present.
Okay. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve or to amend the agenda.
Mayor, I would like to ask that we defer this discussion and approval to advertise ordinance number 284 for 30 days until our next meeting, if possible. I'm not sure, Attorney Winter, if I need to make a motion to defer. Okay, then.
You do.
To take it off the agenda.
Correct.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to remove the advertisement and approval of ordinance number 284 until our next meeting.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. I'm going to call for the question. Call for the roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
Trustee Pacheco.
Yes.
Trustee Riccabini.
Yes.
Agenda is approved as amended. Item 5 is public comment period. Participants may address the Board of Trustees to comment on issues, problems, or successes on topics that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Submitted written comments that were sent to the clerk prior to the meeting will now be read. Danielle, there are none. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor, correct.
Okay, participants wishing to speak that registered with the clerk. Now, there isn't anybody. So is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak under public comment? If so, raise your hand, come to the podium, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees and neighbors. Camille Vados, 427 Alparaíso Road, Northwest, Los Ranchos. This is a comment and a question as well. you know, as we move, this may be considered one of the agenda items, but it's a question because my concern is, because when there's reports on certain issues or topics, the residents or public were not able to make comments. So my question is, as we move towards looking or engaging into cannabis consideration, are we going to as well have a oversight committee or a focal group on this? Mainly because there's so much information and regulations in reference to House Bill 2, and looking at, there is an advisory committee with the state, and, you know, there's so many considerations with advertisement, with looking at micro business versus retail, or however that is looked at or considered, because I don't know. That's not, you know, I'm not necessarily versed in that area, but I do have concerns, you know, because especially when we look at points of rules, and there are many rules in this House Bill 2, and I would hope that the trustees have read through them, because as you vote on this to move forward, I think to be in line with the state, we also have to be cognizant, because I really feel we can take time. This was just approved in April of this year. So I think as a municipality, we can take some time and look at the rules, because how are we going to make sure that those who are applying for applications are following these rules? Is the state going to have agents overseeing this, not just the application itself? And that's my comment. And
Camille, we have an item on the agenda tonight. It's 13A, and we will be discussing the ordinance relating to cannabis. So I would suggest that you pay attention to the discussion tonight, and perhaps some of your questions may or may not be answered, but that's the best I can give you right now, okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is anyone else in the audience wanting to speak under public comment? If so, raise your hand and come on up. If not, we're going to move on. Okay. There are no presentations. Item 7 is the consent agenda. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. 7A and 7B are the minutes of the October 6th special informational meeting. Item B is minutes of the October 13th, 2021 regular meeting. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion from the governing body?
Mayor, I do have one comment.
Yes.
Or one correction, I guess, on, sorry. This would be for the minutes of, I believe it's the September 8th, 2021 regular meeting.
September 8th. That's not on here. September the 8th?
Maybe it's, let's see.
Is it October 6th?
Or 13th.
Let's see here. My apologies. I'm sorry, October 13th.
Okay, the 13th.
And it would be line number 414.
Okay.
And the sentence that says, trustee Pacheco added conditions to the ordinance, require landscape buffering. Also recommended imposing conditions regarding the tops of the greenhouses are not to be. So just 2 is missing on there.
Okay. We'll make that correction. Any further discussion from the governing body? Being none, I'm going to call for the question, call for the roll call vote. Trustee Rael, he's not here. Trustee Lewis,
Yes.
trustee Pacheco,
Yes.
trustee Riccobeni.
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. Now I'm going to move to the departmental reports. The departmental reports are included in the packet and reflect all the activities listed. If the governing body has questions for staff regarding the reports, we will have each trustee ask all of their questions before we move to the next trustee. Trustee Lewis, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first questions are for Administrator Simon. On the Agri-Nature Center, has any more movement been taking place on the Schulte House? On decisions on what we're going to do there?
Trustee Lewis, no, not as far as removal, but we have gotten the facility tested for lead and asbestos, and we did get a report back that there is lead in the windows. So we're now going to the next phase, which is to contact a construction firm that will give us a sense of the cost of demolition or removal.
Okay, thank you. My next question, also for Administrator Simon, is just an update on mobile home tenants and storage facility tenants, how we're coming. I see your report, but I just wondered, as of today, where we're at.
Okay, Mayor and Trustee Lewis, trustees, we have great news. All but one tenant is out of the mobile home. He is just getting his VIN number registered with DMV and will be removing his trailer by the end of the month. The storage facility, we have 3 units that still have items left. All of the other units have either vacated or have forfeited their belongings.
Okay, thank you. My next question is for Maria. Good evening, Maria. Good evening to everybody. It's nice to see you all.
Oh, yeah.
This is great. So I was curious about the co-op project for Rio Grande and Ortega. A little more detail on that, if you could.
So they're all crack seal and striping at this point in time, dependent upon funding, but we could also do mill and overlay. I think that's yet to be determined. We had some costs associated with that we put forward to the state, and our project was accepted at commitment of their funding for the project, but we can still add to that. But at this point, it's crack seal and striping.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Trustee Pacheco.
Let's see, my first round of questions are for Ann Simon. Let's see, on the animal welfare information, can you just talk a little bit more about what exactly the exchange is?
Okay, yes, thank you, Mayor and Trustee Pacheco, trustees. We, as you noted in my report, there's a shortage of space for emergency shelter of animals that we find in the village. Of course, our animal welfare officer, Dominic Tomba, patrols the village when there's a report or if he sees a stray animal off leash. If he tests the animal for a chip, then we can try to find an owner, but if not, we have to house the animal somewhere. And we've had a contract with the city of Albuquerque's West Side Shelter for many years, but that shelter is full. So we needed another option, and the county stepped up and asked for a little bit of help of Dominic's time in exchange for allowing us to utilize their facility free of charge.
So he's going to be doing the same thing for them as he would be for us as the exchange?
He is going to be helping them just in their facility in the South Valley. He's not going to be doing any patrolling. He's not going to be sort of an at-large welfare person. He's just going to be doing using his technical expertise at the South Valley shelter.
Okay, and is there like a minimum time that he'll be
Yes, I
providing them?
believe we set it up for 9 months.
Okay, okay. This is now on the hazardous mitigation study. My understanding, Mayor, you did do the presentation. Was that recorded?
Yes.
And if so, where's it available to view?
Do you know where it is, Ann?
Mayor and Trustee Pacheco, we do have that recording and we can post it on our website.
Okay, great. And I think this next question is for Director Justice, and this might also include Maria. This is in regard to the FEMA BRIC, I guess it BRIC. Can you just further explain what that is?
Yes, so Trustee Pacheco, Mayor, Trustees, that is funding that comes from FEMA that we can use for infrastructure and projects that mitigate flood hazards. And so the idea was to try and apply this money to 4th Street because we are mitigating stormwater. We'd submitted our NOI a few months ago. We heard some positive news from the state FEMA office saying that we can use that funding for stormwater mitigation. But what ended up happening is that FEMA's criteria for their cost-benefit analysis didn't quite work with a roadway project. They value protecting structures more than other types of infrastructure, and obviously as a roadway, we didn't have any structures. So it was difficult to meet their criteria for that cost-benefit analysis. So since then, we haven't been pursuing that since it didn't seem like we would be able to get that funding.
Okay. So we're just no longer, the application has been removed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Maria, I think these questions are for you. On the 4th Street project, I know that a lot of the work has been completed, but there's still a few things, and I know further down in your report you did say that it's really hard to place a timeline on it, and I think we ask this question every time that we're up here, but is there any insight to when it will end?
Mayor, Trustee Pacheco, we actually did a consolidated punch list walkthrough today. RP, our inspector, RP Bohannon, myself, and Fred Radosevich, we did every punch list item that we had outstanding. We walked both sides of the street and consolidated them. And RP will be preparing a report with photos so that we can now go back to Bradbury and say these are outstanding and have been outstanding since the date of when they first appeared on a punch list. First thing we ask for is a cost for anything that's not covered under warranty or is outside of the contract. They're minimal to none items in that regard. As a matter of fact, they owe us credits on a couple of things. And then we ask for a schedule for completion, a formal schedule for completion. And then we put them on notice that this is the anticipated end date, and that's the extension of our contract. And after that date, then we have issues with the contractor. I don't anticipate that. I think that it's been because of the transition to NMDOT, and we finally have a local government oversight engineer. he's able to help us control the activity on 4th Street by approving change orders, by approving the punch list, by approving everything that we've had to go through to meet their standards. So now it's just clear of these are the outstanding items. We want to schedule, we want any associated costs or credits, and this is the end contract date. I can't
Right.
tell you when that's going to happen,
Right.
but it's going to happen within the next 30 days.
Getting closer.
Yes.
Okay, great. On the design, you talk about a deadline of February 28th that BHI is going to be doing some work for us. Do you feel confident that we're going to meet that date?
Mayor, trustee, we absolutely do. We've reached some significant milestones, and most recently, the mayor and I finished the review of the geotech report with full satisfaction, only a couple of comments and no issues. So they are on schedule for completion for preliminary engineering, and we have the funding in place to go to 100% engineering right after February.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have for you, Maria. Thank you.
Well, of course, go right ahead.
Thank you, Maria.
Certainly.
Everybody else is, they did have a lot of good questions, and so I've got one left for you. Can you explain a little bit about the task order for the entrance to the Agri-Nature Center and how that impacted? We just did some work there not too long ago. And so what is the difference between what we did and what we're going to have to be doing now?
Certainly. Mayor, Trustee Riccobene, the task order that was issued for Bohannon Houston was to take the roadway alignment through the master plan design and adjustments that have been made by staff, especially Joshua, for use of the property, and send it over to engineering for actual construction documents. Now, this is roadway and handicap parking. What we completed on the previous task order that was construction of utilities. It was the water, the sewer, and the fire suppression. And that is aligned basically to the south of the orchard, almost along the wall that separates from the subdivision, and then connects to the building. This roadway alignment, oh, I wish I had that. Did you have that in?
Yeah, it's up, it's page 36, no, yeah, page 36.
The alignment, as it's finally been sent to BHI for construction drawings, has been through several iterations. You will remember that the original master plan included many additions to the Agri-Nature Center. It included the utility upgrade, but once the survey of the land was complete, oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was going to show up there. Oh, thank you. So you can see this, Trustee Riccobene? So this is the alignment as has been finally determined as most efficient, effective, and from a land use planning perspective, to connect all of the activities in the roadway. Oh, there you go. No.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 20, sorry, Danielle, 28 is how it finally comes out. There you go. So this task order is just the roadway and the pedestrian path with associated handicap parking. This actually shows a lot of improvement. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is so, if you just look at the road and the associated pedestrian path in the turquoise alignment with the crossing and the south visitor parking, that's basically what this project is. Correct, Joshua? Oh, there is some associated parking in front of the building? Or did we finally eliminated that, huh? This is it. But it's, so if you see the special event parking, that's not part of this. This is the entrance and the circulation around the large trees that are in that teardrop center space, and then the exit.
And then the way that it exits onto Rio Grande.
Correct.
Okay.
And we should have construction drawings and an estimate, I think they said, with 30 to 45 days.
Great, thank you very much.
Certainly.
All right, trustee Pacheco, did you have another comment?
I just did have one more comment, and I don't know if Fred would be the one to talk about this, or maybe it could be you as well. We had talked about the Smiths area parking lot at one point.
And I asked Fred about that, and
Okay.
Fred, I think, could give us an opinion. Come on up to the podium, Fred, and tell us what you sort of told me, okay?
Mayor, Trustee Pacheco, trustees, I met with the Albuquerque Police Department North Commander a couple of times. They're aware of some issues there. The problem is that they don't have any manpower to deal with it, and now as part of the community profile or community services department that's handling a lot of that. So I will get in touch with them again and see if we can't continue to work on that.
Okay, and we had talked about potentially having a meeting with one of the city council members or somebody to just bring more attention to that area. It seems to be, I don't know if getting worse, but I mean, it's still not safe.
Right. What I'll do, Trustee Pacheco, Mayor, trustees, is get with the council liaison and try and set something up so that we can get you all to meet with them and see if we can't
That would be a good idea.
get
That is a great.
get them involved in it and see if they can help us with it.
Sure.
Okay, all right, that's all I had. Thank you, Fred.
Okay, trustee Riccobene, any further questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're done with that. Item 9 is financial business. 9A, discussion and approval of the cash report for October 21. Treasurer Will Fisher, thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Before you is the cash report for October 31st, 2021. The ending cash balance on October 31st, 2021 is $7,976,927.84, which is an increase of $46,826.03 for the month. Year-to-date excess of revenues over expenditures is $781,518.68. There's about 6 significant or unusual transactions listed there as well. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I need a motion to approve the cash report.
A motion to approve the cash report?
I need a second.
Second.
And any discussion from the governing body or questions about the cash report?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple. Go ahead.
Whoever wants to start.
I just have a question for General Fund 1,100, 101, 1,700, Planning and Zoning.
What page are you on, Tom?
I'm on page 47, and I'm showing that we're at about 2% of our projected budget. And I'm wondering, why do we have such a large budget there and we're not spending it?
Ann, do you think you might be able to answer that question, or Will?
Mayor, Trustee Riccobene, you're talking about the wages?
Wages part-time, yes.
Okay. Part-time wages, we have one part-time code enforcement officer that is being paid out of this budget. And I can look into what's happening here. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it is because we haven't had him on staff very long.
Okay.
But I can look into it further.
Yeah, we may be over budgeted then on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily. I think if you go through an entire fiscal year, we're probably going to get closer to that end number. That's my opinion. But anyway, we can look into it, right?
Okay. I think that Ms. Justice is doing a great job, so thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it.
All right. Now, Alan, you had some questions.
I do. I only have a couple here. Just a second here. It's on the check register. page 77. The Bank of Albuquerque credit card charges.
Just why they're so big?
Yes.
I can't speak to that exactly. I know they're using a Bank of, the village recently changed to the Bank of Albuquerque over, I think it was Bank of America before. And so there was a Bank of America credit card, and now they're using this credit card. And I just think the activity is much more than it was before, but I think they're using it more as like a,
Also, I think,
Operating account.
Trustee Lewis, we can get Tammy to give us more detail to try to answer your question directly when she comes back,
Okay.
so that you'll know, why that number is as high as it is.
Yeah, that's big compared to what it's been.
Sure.
So, and then I was just curious on that page also, document solutions, contract overage. How do we use document solutions and how do we have a contract overage?
It's the printer. It's the Konica Minolta, correct?
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Trustee Pacheco.
I do have a couple, and this is with regard to the check register as well. Page 77, the same item that Trustee Lewis just spoke about. It appears every month we seem to be going over on the contract. Have we looked at possibly increasing the contract so we don't have so much overage? Is that a possibility, or are we kind of locked in to the contract? Do we know?
Are we talking about document solutions?
Uh-huh.
Well, I do know that we just went over, how do I say this? We just got a brand-new printer. They had to replace that one because, and so I'm not sure if that's the reason it's over or not. I mean, I'm not sure. We can
Yeah,
find out.
Mayor and Trustee Pacheco, we can absolutely look into that. I don't think I realized we were over last month, and I'll have to look back on that. But we did just renegotiate with Document Solutions for a new printer and some new tools.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Konica Minolta, the one that's in
Sure,
the
sure.
high-speed printer.
Yeah, I just thought if we were going over often, that it might be worth renegotiating the contract.
We'll find out.
Okay. Highway Supply Company, I know that was mentioned before on the striping. Was that 20,694.32? Was that for the actual work? Or is that supplies and work, or just?
Maria, you might know the
Yeah,
answer.
Mayor and Trustee Pacheco, Highway Supply, it is both the labor and the materials. So they come and they do all of the work for
Okay,
us.
so they do the
And-
whole thing.
And that 20,000, remember, it's part of the co-op road fund. So only part of it is an actual match that we, the village, contribute. The rest of it is a reimbursement from the state.
Okay, great. And one last question was with regard to office team. There are 3 expenses for 3 weeks. Who does that apply to?
You know the answer.
Yes, Mayor, Trustee Pacheco, that is our temp, and she is helping to close out the storage facility. We needed someone to be there on site.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have, Mayor.
Okay, then I'm going to call for the question, call for the roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
Trustee Pacheco.
Yes.
Trustee Riccobeni.
Yes.
Cash report is approved. Public hearings, item 10, there are none. There is no old business. Item 12 is announcements, the 2021 regular local election unofficial results. Clerk Danielle Cedillo Molina.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and trustees, in your packet on page 81 and 82 are the unofficial results from both the Secretary of State and the Bernalillo County Clerk's Office. Beginning on November 8th, they will start the canvassing board to make the results official. So they have until the 15th of November to declare that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Clerk Cedillo Molina. Let's move on to item 13, new business, 13A. Discussion and approval to adopt ordinance number 282. An ordinance repealing ordinance number 273, regulating the growth, sale, and production of recreational cannabis and cannabis products pursuant to the Cannabis Regulation Act of 2021. Director Justice.
Mayor, trustees, this ordinance will be familiar to you at this point. I'll go through it each section again. First off, definitions. You'll see that we've crossed out references to the Lynn and Aaron Compassionate Use Act, as that references for medical cannabis primarily. And the new Cannabis Regulation Act basically supersedes that, and we've adjusted our definitions accordingly. In section 2 on page 85, the A1 zone, this is kind of a catch-all for all of our residential zones. Anything that is a permissive use in the A1 zone is permissive in any of our residential uses. You can see that cannabis and cannabis products, the display and sale and growth is all prohibited, excepting for homegrown or homemade cannabis, which per the Cannabis Regulation Act, we cannot prohibit. Homegrown or homemade cannabis, the definition of that has also been added per request, and that is limited to 6 plants per adult per household, and then 12 plants per household, no matter how many adults there are. And then in addition to that, for agricultural activity, anything that requires state licensure, that asks for proof of water availability, we would also like a copy of that. That is added in with the cannabis, with this cannabis ordinance. However, this would apply to any state license that requires proof of water availability. Section 3 is for our C1 commercial use. You'll see that cannabis is permissive. Again, with that, facilities shall not be located within 300 feet of a school or daycare. This is something that is allowed by the Cannabis Regulation Act. And then per request, we've amended some of the different license types: cultivation, retail, cannabis consumption area, and manufacturing, with additional restrictions as mentioned by the trustees. First one is that we got a request for a landscape buffer. And so we do have in general already a landscape buffer for new development. New development that is zoned commercial next to a residential property has to have that 15-foot landscape buffer, regardless of the use of that property. So since that already applies, we just added to say that cannabis shall not be grown in that landscaping. It's unlikely that it would in that case, because it has to be, there has to be a lot of security around the cannabis plant itself, so it's unlikely that it'd be used for landscaping in the first place, but just in case, we've added that. For cultivation and manufacturing, anything involving a structure, we've added, in addition to being equipped with an activated carbon HVAC air filtration system to abate odor emissions, we've also added that the building itself has to be fully enclosed and not open air to help with potential odor emissions. And then in addition, we've limited cultivation to not exceed 10% of the lot size, also per request. And then we've also added that greenhouses used to grow cannabis shall be limited to 1,000 square feet in enclosed area. We have prohibited cannabis consumption areas, and we have added additional limitations to the retail sale hours, saying that anything between 8 p.m. to 9 a.m. is prohibited. And then also for the village center zone, we have amended that. If you remember the last iteration, it was very similar to the C1 zone. And in this case, now it is just a prohibited use, and a prohibited agricultural use. The definition of cannabis establishment covers a lot of different license types. It pretty much prohibits it in the BC zone. And then the AC zone, similar to the A1 zone, cannabis is prohibited, and I stand for any questions.
So before we get to questions for you, P&Z Director of Justice, I need a motion and a second, then we'll get to discussion and questions from the governing body. I need a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass ordinance number 282 and repealing ordinance number 273.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, now, any discussion from the governing body? Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would just like to make some comments, and especially since we've had some audience members, concerned about this ordinance. This is something I think we've all worked on for a long time, and it's changed a little bit because of the House bill and the state laws that came into effect. And we have done, I think, our best to, to kind of adhere to state law as well as protecting the village. I see that this is probably going to change in the future. I think this is just our starting point. And I think as a government body, I think we really put a lot of thought and effort into, and I know Tiffany did an outstanding job in drafting the ordinance. And she really took to heart what we all, or the direction that we all gave her in terms of making sure that we're following state law. And so I just want the residents to know that we've worked really hard on this. It's probably not perfect. And like I said, it's probably going to change in the future as this whole cannabis situation evolves. I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Any other comments, Trustee Pacheco?
No, that's it.
Okay, next, who wants to?
I would just like to say, first of all, thank you to Tiffany and Ann and the rest of the staff. This has been a whole lot of work that everybody has really tried to get a hold of this moving target. I want to congratulate the other trustees. I think everybody worked really hard to understand this issue and do their best to be in compliance with state law, but more importantly, to protect the residents of the village. And I just want to congratulate everybody. I think this really captured what we came up with as we explored and learned about this issue. Attorney Winter, you were invaluable with all your research and the information you gave us. And I think it's a real excellent collaborative effort. I agree with Trustee Pacheco. I think this is going to continue to be a moving target. I think we will be revisiting this ordinance and amending it probably several times in the next couple of years. But for right now, I think it's captured exactly what we wanted it to do. And thank you all.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Trustee Riccobene.
Thank you, and I'm going to echo what the trustees have said. This has been a long road to get here, and it has not been done without a lot of thought and careful consideration of both the state law and the safety of our village. I do have a question for Director Justice with respect to homegrown or homemade cannabis. Is that by state law allowed to be sold?
Trustee Riccobene, Mayor, Trustees, I actually attended a workshop earlier this week where I heard from a state representative that that is not the case. If you are going to be selling it, then you need a license in order to sell it. Okay. You can give it to friends and or family, but you could not charge them for it. That would be considered sale without a license.
Okay. I would like to ask Attorney Winter to take a look at the last sentence in B4, page number 85. We show it says, except for homegrown or homemade cannabis are prohibited. And that is preceded by the manufacturing distribution of cannabis and cannabis-derived and cannabis products, except for homegrown and homemade cannabis. I'm wondering if that doesn't leave a door open there, and maybe what we should do is close the door by saying except for personal use of homegrown or homemade cannabis.
Attorney Winter.
Mayor, Trustee Riccobene,
So you don't have an issue with the grammar there. You're more concerned that,
I'm concerned that the last sentence left open for sale of homegrown or homemade cannabis.
would allow for a sale.
Correct.
I think the definition in the state act actually precludes the sale. So, and Tiffany, up above, the last blue addition, inserted the definition of homegrown or homemade cannabis. And she references that it has the same definition as set forth in the Cannabis Regulation Act. And that act itself says it cannot be sold. It is for personal consumption. So she then uses those terms exactly in that last sentence of paragraph B4. So I think you're covered. I think we're referencing the state law prohibits exactly what you're concerned about, and I think.
I want to be certain of that, because otherwise we can go ahead and state that here.
There's no doubt in my mind.
No doubt in your mind, then I'm good to go with it.
No doubt in my mind, the State Act
Thank you.
prohibits the sale of homegrown or homemade cannabis.
Thank you, Attorney Winter. That's fine. No further questions.
Okay, so at this time, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter? If so, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address. Being none, I'm going to call for the question. Call for the roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
Trustee Pacheco. Oh, go ahead. Come on up, Camille. I mean, you did speak on it a minute ago, but you have 3 more minutes if you want.
I just have some questions.
Yeah, go right ahead. Name and address.
Okay. Good evening, Camille Vados, 427 El Paraíso, Los Ranchos. I know that, I trust the trustees, along with the administration, have done a lot of research in this cannabis industry in reference to the House bill too. I guess when I was reading it myself, and it's just like huge, it's a lot. I just want to make sure, and this is not necessarily in reference to you, but to the state, when they pass these, when these bills go before the legislature sessions, they talk about advisory committee and regulatory committees, and they look at, how are we going to make sure that once these applications are approved, following state regulations and looking at our own ordinance, because according to the rules, there's health rules, safety rules, advertisement rules. If they permit businesses in the home, infusion and extraction of oils from hemp or cannabis, and I'm not necessarily familiar with a lot of those terms. Do we have the manpower to oversee, to make sure that, children have to be 21 and educated on this, and, that we are not going to be promoting situations that we may not be able to monitor, and where are those monitoring agents, or from the state, because this can get huge, and that's what happened to Colorado. It grew so big that they're having to cut down, but by that time, it's caused so much havoc in neighborhoods and, impacts with population increase and growth. And, if you feel that we can begin to promote this because it's state law, and according to Senator Duhigg, because she introduced the bill.
Ms. Varos,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but you've reached your 3 minutes.
Oh, thank you.
Let me,
I guess that's just the gist of it.
okay, thank you, Camille.
You're
Avalos.
very welcome.
Director of Justice, would you like to comment on that at all?
Mayor, trustees, certainly. Basically, at this point, the state is the agency that's issuing the licenses, so they are responsible for enforcement. And there are a lot of other pieces of the state license that are required in order addressing health, safety, security, that kind of thing. That should there be a violation of that, that will fall on the state to enforce, as they are the agency that's issuing the license.
Correct. Okay.
Fred has a comment also.
Fred, did you want to say something about this? Come forward.
Mayor and trustees, just kind of follow up what Tiffany said. The state is going to have an enforcement bureau that deals strictly with cannabis. They're still putting that in place. State police and all the law enforcement agencies around New Mexico are looking at this and how they're going to take part of that. But a lot of it's going to be out of licensing regulation. They issue the permits, they'll be responsible for then coming in and making sure that people are following what needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Fred. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this matter? If so, please come forward. Being none, I'm going to continue calling for the question and the roll call vote. Trustee Lewis, tell us again.
Yes.
Trustee Pacheco.
Yes.
Trustee Riccobeni.
Yes.
The ordinance has been passed. Item 13B has been deferred. Therefore, we are now at item 14, trustee informal discussion. Trustee Lewis.
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Pacheco.
I'm going to take part of Trustee Lewis's time then.
Go right
I have a
ahead.
few things. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the newly elected officials. It's always a hard thing to get out there and campaign, and I think they all did a great job, and I just wanted to say congratulations. I'm glad we're back to in-person sessions. I hope that this continues, keeping my fingers crossed for sure. It's great to see residents out here and be able to just see you face to face and hear your comments, so we appreciate your being here. I also wanted to make mention, I don't know if anybody else came across the lowrider. It was like a pop-up, I guess, here in the village on October 23rd.
Fred can tell us all about that.
And I just want to say, I was just so pleasantly surprised. I mean, I think it was what we've envisioned for 4th Street, seeing people out walking, talking, families sitting on the side of the street, you know, looking at all these beautiful cars. It just brought something special to my heart. Fred, if you want to comment on that.
Tell us about the pictures, Fred.
So, Mayor and trustees, it was the New Mexico Car Culture Group, and I've got on their Facebook page.
I did too.
And they have some phenomenal photographs on 4th Street with the cars and stuff, and actually I'll send them all to you. I've downloaded most of them. But I think, just what you said, I think we need to work with that group, and I think we can do some things to really bring out the businesses and that stuff on 4th Street. And I realize there were some congestion issues and stuff, but everything that I've talked to people, they thought it was great. And they cleaned up everything, I think, from what I understand. But the pictures that they took and they posted are just phenomenal.
And it is a part of our culture.
Right.
And I'm glad that we are,
Yes,
that we find a way to support that.
absolutely.
Thank you, Fred. Let's see. Lastly, and most importantly, I'd like to personally thank all military personnel for their service and thank our military veterans for their service and wish them a very happy Veterans Day tomorrow. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Trustee Pacheco. Trustee Riccobeni.
Thank you, Mayor, very much. I would like to just say that I'm so proud of this village and what the staff and has accomplished and the trustees have accomplished over the last couple of years. It's been awful tough. And we are in such a solid cash position again. We have a lot of money coming in from the state. We got a lot of money to spend and make our village even better. And so I think that's a great thing, and we're in a good position, and so many municipalities are not. So we're way better off than most. I was so happy to see a 46% increase in gross receipts. That's a big number. And so I'm wondering, I'm not sure that we can actually do a good job spending all this money. It's so hard to, it's a big project to do a project, right? So it takes manpower and so on and so forth. And so that's great that we're gonna fix up our roads and whatnot, but I'm wondering if it's possible that since we're so flush, where we can maybe set some money aside in a fund of something that is a permanent fund that allows us to maybe spin off something that might benefit our village or our children or our youth or our school or some, you know what I mean, as something that spins off from this period of time that's kind of forever there. I don't know if we can take $1 million and put it in the bank and spend that interest and it stays there forever. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
Well,
So-
I can't say that I do either, but I'm sure that if there's a way for us to do something like that, we're gonna exercise it. So I'll start looking at that. I'll make that a priority and I'll try to come up with some kind of, idea perhaps, or.
You know, it's a pretty rare occurrence to be in this position.
Oh, I do
So
agree with that.
great job, Mayor and everybody. So that's all I comment tonight.
Okay, I just have one final comment. I do want to thank Trustee Pacheco for commending our veterans. I served over 30 years in the United States Air Force, and I will be wearing my uniform tomorrow at a very special event. So Veterans Day is perhaps, I think, arguably my favorite day of the year. I'll be really honest with you. So with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 7:56 PM. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to our in-person meeting.
So exciting.
It's wonderful. Oh, my goodness. Okay. That's a really good comment. You know, we need to look hard at that and figure out how to do that. A hell of a legacy. Camille, come on up.
Thank you for your time,
Of course,
thank you for your service.
of course.
You had mentioned one of the proudest things that, or honors that you have is serving.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, yes. Yes.
You're still serving.
And I'm still serving. I'm doing my best. Thank you, Camille. I appreciate it.